respected professors, dear teachers and students, welcome to the first regional TESOL conference of Gamified Gamified. It's truly a pleasure to see you all here today for a day of learning, sharing, and inspiration. My name is Ikram, and I will be honored to accompany you throughout this special event. This conference is organized by American TESOL Academy in partnership with ILA, TESOL Morocco. Our theme today is about innovative approaches to teaching English, strategies for effective classroom practice. We have prepared for you a rich, exciting program. Kindly make sure your phones are on silent mode. Thank you. To start our conference in a blessed atmosphere, we'll begin with a recitation from the Holy Quran by Mr. Uthman Mrabi.
السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. وتلك الأمثال نضربها
Now please stand up for the Moroccan national anthem. And thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, every successful event begins with a strong leadership and vision. It is now my great honor to invite Prof. Nordin, Director and Founder of ILA Center and Regional Coordinator of American TESOL Academy. Please welcome him warmly.
Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished professors, esteemed teachers, dear students, and respected researchers, good evening. It's both an honor and privilege to stand before you today as the founder and director of ILA Center and as the regional coordinator of the American TESOL Academy in the Gamified region based in Al-Rashidiyah. Before I begin the presentation, I would like to express my deepest gratitude and appreciation to Professor Hussein Asras, English professor and president of the American TESOL Academy in Rashidiyah. His exceptional leadership, academic vision, and continuous dedication have played a decisive role in expanding professional teacher training opportunities across the country. We sincerely value his trust and mentorship and support for our work in our region. The American TESOL Academy is an internationally recognized institution committed to promoting excellence in English language teaching, educational research, and professional development, and its mission is to prepare educators who are not only knowledgeable, but also reflective, innovative, and globally minded practitioners. The Academy emphasizes communicative and learner-centered pedagogy, the integration of 21st century skills in language classrooms, the importance of important basic teaching practices, continuous professional growth, and teacher reflection. In an era where language learning is deeply connected to globalization, mobility, and the academic opportunity, the American TESOL Academy works to ensure that teachers are equipped with modern approaches, intercultural awareness, and strong pedagogical competence. In Morocco, the American TESOL Academy has been steadily building a national network of collaboration and academic engagement. Through its branches, partners, and coordinators across different regions, the Academy offers academic TESOL certification programs, workshops, training seminars, and professional development initiatives. Spaces for academic dialogue, reflection, and research, exchange opportunities for teachers to connect with international TESOL standards. These initiatives contribute to strengthening a vibrant professional community of educators where teachers, trainers, and researchers work together to enhance the quality of English language education nationwide. Our partnership between ILA Center and the American TESOL Academy is built on shared principles: quality, collaboration, academic integrity, and community impact. Through this collaboration, we aim to provide high-quality teacher training programs in the Antafat region, support young learners and teachers and researchers through seminars and academic activities, encourage innovation in classroom practice and reflexive teaching, create pathways for educators to access internationally recognized certification and training. As the regional coordinator in Rashidia, my role is to act as a bridge between global professional standards and our local educational context, ensuring that teachers in our region benefit from meaningful, accessible, and transformative training opportunities. Looking ahead, our vision is to continue developing a strong and collaborative educational ecosystem where teachers are empowered as leaders, researchers, and lifelong learners. Students experience engaging, communicative, and relevant learning environment. Research informs practice, and practice inspires innovation and inquiry. We believe that the future of English language education broadly depends on partnerships, collaborative work, and shared commitment to professional excellence, and the American TESOL Academy plays a central role in supporting this mission. And I would like to sincerely thank all our distinguished speakers for accepting our invitation and for being with us today. We truly appreciate time commitment and willingness to share your expertise with us. In closing, I would once again like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Hassan Qasras, whose guidance, academic leadership, and encouragement continue to inspire our work and strengthen our efforts in this region. It's an honor to take part in this conference, and I look forward to greater collaboration, deeper research engagement, and continued professional growth alongside all of you, and thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your inspiring words and dedication. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also privileged today to be joined by a national and international leader in TESOL. Please welcome Director Hassan Qasras. Founder and American TESOL Academy and President of TESOL Morocco Association. Please welcome him warmly.
السلام عليكم. نتمنى كلشي مزيان. هنيئا لكم بمدينة الراشدية. Because I have heard so many, positive feedback about this city, especially about engineering. اللهم بارك العدد اللي كيتخرجوا طلبة الهندسة هما من الجهة الشرقية، الراشدية وزاكورة. هذا شي حاجة اللي هي غريبة. الحمد لله دائما الجهة الشرقية كنقولوا كاين الأمان، كاين الأمن، كاين النية، وكاين هذاك المجتمع المحافظ. وحنا في الرباط وكازا دائما تنقولوا علاش الناس ديال الشرق كاين خصوصا الراشديه وزاكورا هما الاولى اللي كيتقابلوا في الهندسه كاين. وان شاء الله في اخر هذا المؤتمر تجاوبونا علاش نتوما كتقابلوا كثير كاين. Good morning everyone, distinguished guests, respected organizers, dear colleagues, faculty educators. It's truly an honor and a great pleasure to welcome you today to the regional TESOL conference of the Antafat. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizing committee for their dedication and hard work in making this important educational event possible. My special thanks go to Mr. Nordina, the director of ELA, Easy Learn Academy, for his vision and initiative in partnering with the American TESOL Academy to launch the 120-hour TESOL course for the very first time in this region. This is not simply a course. It is not simply a partnership. It is an investment in teachers. And when we invest in teachers, we invest in the future of Morocco. I would also like to warmly thank our distinguished speakers who will enrich us today with their knowledge and expertise. Dr. Mohammed Ubda, Dr. Abdurrahman Babni, Dr. Sumia Zindin, Professor Ahmed bin Isa, Professor Abdul Latif Hamdawi, and Professor Nordin Ajwiba. Dear colleagues, today is personally very special for me. Although I have many friends and colleagues from Al-Rashidiyah, this is actually my first time visiting this, beautiful region. And what makes it even more meaningful is that Rashidiyah represents the last station of my journey across Morocco. So we visited all regions, okay? We train teachers and trainers. We provide a training course, and hopefully that's the last station at Rashidiyah city. Over the years, I had one clear mission: to travel around the country to meet teachers, professors, students like you. To meet teachers, to train, to share, and also to learn. From Tangier to Dakhla, from east to west, I tried to reach every corner of our homeland. And today, being here with you feels like completing that circle. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And teachers are the ones holding that weapon. At the American Chancellor Academy, we believe that training should transform lives, not only provide certificates. Alhamdulillah, today, American Chancellor Academy is proudly working across Morocco through our branches in Rabat, Tangier, Agadir, Casablanca, Marrakesh, Beni Mellal, Meknes, Wajda, Al Jadida, Al-Ayun, Safi, Qal'a, and now in Al-Rashidiyah. We also organize national professional events such as the Rabat International ALT Conference, Chancellor Conference Casablanca, Chancellor Conference Beni Mellal, Chancellor Conference Fez, and seminars and study days in all regions. And today, which is the first conference in the Al village. But more importantly, we do not only train teachers locally, we open global doors. Every year, especially during Moroccan vacations, we offer our chancellors, our teachers, golden international opportunities in countries such as England, Finland, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, and others to gain international experience and learn from global experts. Because when Moroccan teachers grow internationally, Moroccan education grows nationally. Today, we are proud to consider, or to be considered, the #1 Chancellor Training Academy in Morocco, having trained more than 2,000 teachers face-to-face. We have trained more than 2,000 teachers face-to-face. Thank you. And more than 5,000 teachers online. So we provide you with both in-person courses and online. They represent dreams. These are not just numbers. They represent dreams, careers, and lives transformed. And this means a lot, not only to us, but to Morocco. Our mission aligns perfectly with the vision of Moroccan Minister of Education and the guidance of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, who emphasized that education is the corner or the cornerstone of human development and the key to building a competitive and prosperous society. His Majesty King Mohammed VI. And as Henry Adams wisely said, a teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. Dear colleagues, this conference is not just an event, it's a movement to empower teachers, a movement to raise standards, and a movement to connect Darata village with Morocco and the world. So, let us continue learning, let us continue sharing, and let us continue inspiring. And I would like to end with these beautiful words from Malala. She said, "One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world." Today, we are not one teacher, we are hundreds. So imagine how many worlds we can change together. Thank you very much. Welcome everyone, and I wish you a wonderful and an inspiring conference. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Director Hussein. Ladies and gentlemen, education is not only about teaching, it is also about transforming lives. Now, we will hear from one bright student who represents the future of our profession. Please welcome the ILA Center, Ms. Mariam Baka, who will share her personal learning journey.
Hello everyone. 5 years ago, I would never stand here like this. Not because I had nothing to say, but because my voice was trapped inside my head. In my first English classes, my voice was very small. Inside my head, English was loud, but outside, silence. I knew the answers, I understood the lessons, I wrote sentences, erased them, rewrote them. I wasn't afraid of English. I was afraid of being heard before being perfect. Afraid of mistakes, afraid of laughter, afraid of judgments. Every student has two voices. The first voice is messy. It thinks in two languages. It hesitates, it asks, is it correct? Should I say silent? And the second voice is what teachers usually hear. Clean sentences and perfect presentations. The first voice learns, and the second voice performs. But between these two voices, there's a gap, and most of the time, we don't teach this gap. We teach the final sentence, but we forget the courage it takes to reach it. For a long, long time, I lived here, silent and finished, invisible. Then I joined ELA Center, and something changed. My teacher Nordin didn't say don't make mistakes. He said make mistakes, learn, try again. For the first time, English was not a test. It was a conversation. Through modern TESOL methods, we didn't just study English. We discussed, we presented, we created, and we communicated. English stopped being a subject. It became my tool, not my fear. Today, and one day, I raised my hand. That small action changed everything. Today, I'm not standing here just for myself. I'm standing here for every student who thinks, I'm not good enough, my English is weak, my voice doesn't matter. Your voice matters. What you just witnessed was not a presentation about the students, it was the students. And maybe your role is not always to correct the performance, but to understand the scripts it's written from. Thank you to my teachers who believed in me before I believed in myself. Thank you, ELA Center, for giving me a platform. And thank you for listening to my journey. Education does not only teach us words, it teaches us confidence, it teaches us courage, it teaches us how to stand and say, here I am, not perfect, but present. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. We are proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our academic sessions, allow me to introduce our distinguished speakers. These experts have generously accepted to share their knowledge and experience with us today. Please welcome Director Hussein Caceres, University Professor at ESEFB, Hassan First University of Stats, International ELT Specialist. Director Ubida Muhammad, ELT Supervisor Irashidia. Director Babni Abdurrahman, University Professor, Disciplinary Faculty Irashidia. Prof. Hamdawi Abdultif, Teacher of Business English, BTS. Prof. Ahmed bin Isa, EFL Teacher. Director Sumaya Zindi, University Professor, Disciplinary Faculty Irashidia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have such a remarkable team. Our first speaker is Director Hussein Kaseras. His presentation, entitled Evaluating the Impact Gamified Learning on 21st Century Competencies in EFL Classrooms. Please welcome him.
مرحبا. هلا بعدك زي ما كنت تتكلم لهم مزيان. الله يحفظك. اي سلام.
Hello everyone, it's my great pleasure to present my research article. I already presented this article in Finland, and I'm going to present it next Friday in North Ireland, and I'm very glad to share it with the Rashidia teachers and students. And my article is about evaluating the impact of gamified learning on 21st century competencies in AV classroom across cultural perspectives. And all the pictures I'm going to use in this presentation are all my testers, my students who are not teachers, teaching in different countries. And by the way, this one, she is Fatima Zara from Sliman, and right now she's teaching in China. Good. The agenda, introduction, research problem, research objectives, questions, methodology, findings, discussion, recommendation, and at the end there is a conclusion. Another Cheslow, she is also in China, okay. I can't remember the name anyway. Good, so as an introduction, what is gamification? Gamification is the integration of game-like elements. When we say game-like elements, here we talk about rewards. We talk about, badges. We talk about stars. We talk about +1, +2. So that's gamification, the element of gamification. And why we have to play games in our classes? Basically, we do not play games, for fun, but we play games for learning. And the purpose here is motivation, because we as human beings, we cannot learn unless we build interest. Unless we feel excited. So you as a teacher, number one, building interest, motivating students. Number 2, engagement. Number 3, participation. And the most important is the 21st century skills, the 4 C's. C number 1, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. All these are based on my previous research on online games. Good. Now, the problem, why this study? Number 1, some students here and even teachers may observe that sometimes there is low engagement in ASA classrooms. A teacher may start a session with no fun, no enjoyable learning environment. The whole session, the board, the teacher, the learner, the handout, the textbook. So here there is low engagement. Number 2, passive learning habits, kind of lecturing. The teacher talks and the learner listens, okay? So there is no interaction. And the next one, there is a need for innovative pedagogy. There is a change in education. There is a change in technology. So we have to change the way we teach. And the most important, growing global interest in gamification. We are going to travel today to Vietnam, from Morocco to Vietnam, and from Vietnam to China. And we are going to see these 3 countries, what they think about gamification, what are the types of games they use, and what are the problems they face. Now, conceptual clarification. Now, let's define, because sometimes we as teachers, we overlap. We use them as if they are similar. Game, gamification, and game-based learning, okay? Game, number 1, if you are going to play a game, if you give this term game, it is only fun, just entertainment. Okay. Number 2, gamification. Here there is motivation through mechanics. What do I mean here by mechanics? You put them in a competition, A and B, +1, +2. You give them badges, you give them a star, you give them a chocolate, you give them +1, +2. So here there is motivation. And the most important is game-based learning. Here, we use a game to teach content. I'm going to teach grammar, simple present or simple past. I'm going to play a game to conjugate from present to past. And there is fun, there is competition, and there is learning. Good. The research objectives. Number 1, to explore teachers' definitions. Moroccan teachers, how do they define gamification? Moroccan teachers in Vietnam, Moroccan teachers in China. I'm not talking about Vietnamese teachers, I'm not talking about Chinese. I'm talking only about Moroccan teachers in 3 countries, in Morocco, Vietnam, and China. And number 2, there's a missing, identify common practices. What are the very common games they use in Morocco? The very common games in Vietnam, and the very common activities in China. And we are going to examine the challenges. When you play a game, of course, there are problems, issues, and challenges. Good. The questions. 3 questions I worked on, and I'm going to answer later. How do ASL teachers in Morocco, China, and Vietnam define gamification? Remember, here, I talk only about Moroccan teachers in Morocco, Moroccan teachers in Vietnam, and Moroccan teachers in China. I'm not talking about other countries like that. And number 2, what are the common gamified activities used in ASA classrooms? So when you move from Morocco to Vietnam, you will see there's a new way of teaching. And then when you switch to China, another method. And that's why we as teachers, we as Moroccan teachers, we have to think locally and act globally. Don't teach the same that you do in Morocco. There are some differences between these countries, okay? And sometimes there are challenges that we are going to talk. It's about number 3. What challenges do teachers face while implementing gamification? Of course, when you play a game, there is chaos, there is noise, they are overexcited, etc. So I'm going to see what are these, troubles or problems. The methodology, it is purely qualitative. It's not quantitative. I'm not interested in numbers. I'm interested in getting more in-depth the experience from the teachers. So the data collection to semi-structured interviews and surveys, 45 participants. So I address only 45 Morocco, it's a very small study. 45 teachers in Morocco, in Vietnam, and in China. And the level, not university, not high school, only primary and middle schools, both the private and the public. And here I would like to open parentheses. If you go outside Morocco, you will see that the educational system is totally different. For example, in Morocco, if you would like to become a public school teacher, number one, you should study at the university. Number two, you should complete your BA. Get BA from where? From the English department. And number three, you apply for the teaching exam at the CRNF, Markaz Al-Jihawi Al-Tarbiya Wal-Takwin. If they accept you, the admission, okay, then you go for the written, and then the oral exam, and then 6 months or 7 months for training. That's the Moroccan situation. If you would like to become a public school teacher, now, when you travel to Vietnam, nowhere, we don't care about all these things. The private and the public are similar. To teach in the private sector or the public sector, no problem at all. It's number one. Number two, they don't care if you belong to the English department. If you belong to, physics department, psychology department, history and geography department, no problem. They ask only about the level of English, at least B1. You see now, when you move from one country to another, there is a difference. Here, there's a big difference between public and private. More than that, if you would like to teach at the university, number one, you should have a PhD, okay? Or study the PhD and teach as a part-time. In Vietnam with the BA, in China with the BA, you can teach in China, at the university, sorry, with the BA, but you have to be specialized in business English or TOEIC or TOEFL, okay? So they don't care about diploma, they don't care about degrees, they care about you. They see, okay, what do you have exactly and your performance. So that's why, when you travel abroad, you may get confused, especially about the differences between this system and another one, okay? The analysis, I went for the thematic analysis of qualitative responses. Now, this is Yusuf from Marrakesh, and now he's teaching in China. This is Fatima Zahra, I told you about, Yusuf in Vietnam and Fatima Zahra in China. Now, I'm going to share with you my first finding about this research. How do teachers define gamification? Let's start with Morocco. Moroccan teachers, when we ask them this question, they associate gamification with competition. All the time, when they play game, there's a competition. Group A, Group B. Group 1, Group 2. So all the time there is a competition. So we call it competition-driven approach. Let's travel to Vietnam. In Vietnam, Moroccan teachers teaching in that country, when we asked them this question, the majority said, when we play a game, we are asked to use technology, to use digital platforms. Why? Because the Ministry of Education in Vietnam has invested so much about the use of technology. So now, you may disagree, you may say, even in Morocco we use technology, but I'm talking the majority of Moroccan teachers go for competition, and the majority of Moroccan teachers in Vietnam, opted for the use of technology. Now, in China, it's play-based strategy. It's about physical activities. Moroccan teachers in Vietnam say that when they play games, the system there insists on the fact that they should use physical activities, movement. And here the question, which country is more developed, technologically more developed? Is it Morocco, Vietnam, or China? China. But the big question, why? In China, they do not focus on technology, but in Vietnam and somehow in Morocco. I'm going to answer this question later again. Now, look at the picture. Let's practice. Let's see if you... look at the picture, then choose the right answer. We have two pictures there. Is a Moroccan classroom, a Vietnamese classroom, or a Chinese classroom? How did you know? Movement. Thank you, there is movement. So Sukaina, and by the way, Sukaina, حصلت على الإجازة في القانون. not English department, law department, and now teaching in China. يعني كانت كتقري في سلا يكون بريفي على بحال هكا تنقول بدل العتبه تلقى الخير هكا. Donc here as a BA graduate, of course she cannot teach English in the public sector. That's the Moroccan system. But in other countries there are many windows you can go through, or doors. And Ismail also, teaching in China. So all the time going for movement, physical activities, etc. Now, this finding shows, number one, Morocco, low technology. We do not focus more, and I'm pretty sure, and you may agree with me, in the public sector, we do not go for technology because of the infrastructure. Maybe many schools are not well equipped. Maybe in the private, yes, private sector. Okay. Now, in Vietnam, tech supported. The Ministry of Education in Vietnam has invested so much, and the curriculum also is part of it to use technology. And in China, it's energy and discipline balance. They go for physical, Simon says, touch your head. Simon says, touch your nose. Movement, stand up, sit down, go, step, etc. So all the time using games based on movement. I'm going to share with you some of the games that teachers in Morocco, Vietnam and China use, especially in Morocco. Couscous, have you ever heard about couscous game? Some, okay. It's my own game. I give it the name of couscous because there are different types of couscous. I'm sorry, you may feel hungry, it's not Friday. And the typical couscous is with seven vegetables. I want you to explain it quickly, So basically, what I do, at the first time I meet my learners, I don't know them, they don't know me. So we have to start with a getting to know you activity. We need to learn about each other. Instead of, I am, and the learner is just a passive learner, just a listener. There must be an interaction, communication between you and the teacher and the learner. So there are 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every single word stands for me. And I ask my learners, the first time I meet them, ask me a question, and the answer must be there. And if you get the right question, and the answer is there, I give you chocolate or candy or something, Can we practice quickly, just 1 minute? Blue, Barcelona, soccer, pizza, and Hussein, back preparation for. Someone to ask a question and the answer is there. Yes, please. Thank you. My favorite color, blue. And look here, what's your favorite color? Blue. Who likes blue? So this is an interaction. Instead of talking, the learner is just a passive learner, there must be an interaction. Number 2, can you choose a word? Yeah. Of course, yeah, because they don't know me, my learners the first time, they may not know. My name is Lucy, what's your name, man? And what's your name, man? It is one, so there's an interaction. Number 4, what do you think? Yes, please. I swear to Allah, I expect this question. You know why? I use this game in Spain, in Italy, in Greece, and all the time when there are numbers, people ask about children. And even in Morocco, in Tangier, in Fez, in Marrakesh, not about children. So you are not an exception, it's universal, Number 4, yes please. I speak English, Marrakshi, Bali Millali, Rashidi. Also, yeah. How many siblings do you have? Thank you. 3 brothers and 1 sister, It's about siblings. You are similar, Thank you. So basically, and then I ask you, how many siblings, What's your favorite color? And it is communication. Are you going to use in the future? It's similar to the cloud game. And this is another game that students, or teachers talked about during the interview. This is my game. I give it a maestro activity. You know this person? Not Mohammed? It's from Zagor. He died, I guess. I cannot remember, This I wrote something here, and we call the maestro activity. For example, I just read up, 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 clap your hands, sing with us. I just read, but then I play the maestro, and there's a group following me. So when I sing, they have to sing. Up, 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 clap your hands, sing with us, 40 soul, up, and they repeat, okay. And say, oh, my beloved program, oh, lovely, oh, my love, Jesus, in my mind there is theory, in my heart there is practice. And then I put my learners in groups, 4, 4, 4. And every group need one maestro to send or to sing. But you need to change. For example, up, 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 clap your hands. Sing, you say play, 1. Oh my lovely program, oh my lovely country, oh my lovely food. And they need to change as many words as they like, and to change also the melody. And you will see there is creativity, there is fun when they are practicing this game. Okay. And the last one is the airplane paper. It's really interesting, but it takes so much time. Basically, number 1, I show my learners how to make an airplane. And the airplane, how many wings do we have? 2. Basically, you can play this one for speaking. The first, the right wing, you can write just questions, or you write answers. My favorite color is, my favorite food. And the left wing, you write questions. And then they are going to fly, and to exchange, okay. I need more time to explain, but I can share with you the instructions later. Now, let's go back. These are some games, okay. And these games are kind of traditional. Moroccan teachers use paper when they play games. Now, the common gamified activities in ASA classroom. Finding number 2. Frequently used gamification. In Morocco, the very common is competitive quizzes. When they play games, they use competition and reward systems like points, badges, and stars. In Vietnam, digital learning platforms like Quizlet, Kahoot, Bamboo, etc. And in China, physical activities and kinesthetic learning like running, dictation, Simon says. So, different countries, but different approaches to gamification. Now, when you play a game, you have to expect some problems you are going to face. Now, don't be very passionate. Sometimes it turns down. Okay. For Moroccan teachers in Morocco, what problems? Number 1, noise. Do you agree or not? Yes, there is clash of noise. And there's a problem, especially in the public sector, lack of digital resources, okay? And keeping students focused after games. When you play a game, stop. Let's go back to exercise. You don't want. It's difficult to get them back. In Vietnam, a problem balancing competition, time constraints, and ensuring inclusivity. They need to include the high achiever, the average, and the slow learner. When you play a game, sometimes you may interact only with high achievers, and that's a problem in Vietnam. How can you include them? Okay. How can you address the 3 abilities? The high, the average, and the low. Okay. And in China, there's a problem of the large class size. In Morocco, we say we have a large class, like 40 students. Is a large class, yes? In China, what is a large class? It's more than 60, and sometimes 70 students. Can you imagine? If you would like to teach in China, expect to have more than 45, 50, 60, and sometimes 70. So what is a large class in Morocco is not a large class in China, okay? So in China, expect to have more than 50 students, okay? And that's a problem again. Another problem, parents interfere in the system of education in China. Good. Now, we are going to discuss the 3 questions, the definition, the common practices, and the challenges. Despite contextual differences from Morocco, Vietnam, and China, all classrooms in these 3 countries showed engagement. They agree that when they play games, there is engagement, positive class atmosphere. You start to, create a positive learning environment. And number 3, there is autonomy, independence, autonomous learning. They start to learn by themselves. And the last one, there is participation and interaction. These are the similarities. Now, the differences. Contextual differences matter. The first factor is technology, class size, and approach. Look here, Morocco, limited. What do I mean by limited? Limited digital resources, especially in the public sector. Teachers, reported, yes, we would like to play games, but the school is not well equipped technologically. That's a problem. That's why we have low, okay, it's limited in Morocco. And in Vietnam, technology is high. Number one, the Minister of Education has invested in Vietnam. And number two, the students are digital literate. They know how to use technology. It's part of the curriculum. And in China, it's moderate. They go for physical activities. Now, the class size, in Morocco, medium. Okay, so remember 40, 30, yeah, it's not a big class. In Vietnam, similar. And in China, very large. And here, I'm going to answer the question, why China is, more developed than Morocco and Vietnam, and they do not go too much or so much, or they don't stress on the use of technology. Number one is the class size number. Can you imagine 50 students, 60, 70, and use technology? That's too bad or not good at that. So they do not use technology a lot because of the large class size, number one. And number two, in China, especially for primary school level, they do not want to use technology because they say children should be away from technology. Children should move, okay. And today we have seen some countries, Australia, فرنسا، الدول الأخرى، Spain، 16 عام وتحت ما كاينش social media، ما كاينش smartphone. Because these generations will harm in the future these countries. And China doing the same. So for children, please don't use too much technology, use physical activities. So the approach in Morocco we use traditional, like using the border, paper. In Vietnam, digital tools, Kahoot, Quizlet, Bamboozle, Class Dojo, etc. In China, physical games. What does it mean? What is interesting about this research? When you travel to Vietnam, learn more about what? Technology. If you would like to teach in China, learn more about what? Physical. If you teach in Morocco, go for traditional games like using the board, paper, etc. Now, for recommendation, teacher training and professional development, we need to train teachers on how to use games. Okay? So there must be workshops on digital gamification tools, Kahoot, Quizlet, Bamboozle, etc. Number two, we need to adapt the hybrid. Sometimes we use traditional, digital, physical activities. And number three, expect problems. So classroom management techniques. Go for clear rules before games. Use structured game designs for better students control. And number four, we need to investigate, is the further research. Investigate gamification's long-term impact on student performance. Explore best practices for integrating gamification in large class setting. And as a conclusion, gamification is not universal. And gamification, it's not one size fits all. Gamification is context sensitive. And I'm going to highlight something that happened to me. Context sensitive. What is appropriate for me is inappropriate for other countries. Last year, I went to Egypt to give a presentation. And they played the game Couscous. And they started playing, and then a female teacher started leaving the class. And one teacher said, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?" I said, "We are playing couscous." And I didn't know that the couscous is a bad word in Egypt. That's what we call context sensitive. So I should have, before going to that country, I should have what is okay for me, might not okay for other. And then I had a big problem in class, okay. female teachers leaving and asking, what are you doing again? So we need to learn more about other cultures before introducing a certain game or method or approach or technique, etc. Adaptable, we need to adapt it based on the size of the class, the age of learners, the level, the type of the lesson. Gamification is highly engaging. The 3 countries, highlighted. There is engagement, and it's pedagogically powerful. And thank you.
Thank you very much, doctors. So, please, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our academic sessions, allow me to introduce our distinguished speakers. These experts have generously accepted to share their knowledge and experience with us today. Please welcome Obda Muhammad.
Meeting my colleagues from the Azaz village region, and the competent and Rish and Rashid Basha Hussein, Rish and others, and my colleagues here in Rashid. I think before I start, I'd like to see Mr. Moknordi. Firas and Asinordi. Where are you? Because I have a question for Sinordi who asks me to tackle this issue. That's not. Spent many years in class that I can reach. Sinordi. Okay. 2 weeks ago, Sinordin asked me to take part in this conference, and as male activist, I always feel myself inside and among colleagues. So I told him, okay. And then one day he told me, please tackle this issue of grammar instruction. Sinordin, because I'd like to know the rationale behind this. Why Sinordin has chosen this topic. This is a topic that I try to avoid. But okay, Sinordin has again pushed me inside the box. Thank you so much for having invited me. That you have chosen this topic and you asked me to tackle this.
Well, actually, from your own experience, me too. So, as we said, about 5 years or 6 years ago, I found difficulties actually to teach grammar. All right? Yeah, I had different. Okay, actually, as I told you before, difficulties. So that's why actually I choose this topic to Dr. Obda. So yeah, to Mr. Obda, thank you very much. Yes, he deserves it, of course. Yeah. So actually, it comes to my mind, and I have searched before that actually most of the teachers also need more strategies to learn and to develop in grammar. That's why actually.
Thank you so much, Sinordin, because it's very interesting to understand people's perceptions about, different issues and components in language. Okay, so inshallah we'll try to say something about this component, and of course I'd like to start by. Dat is je laptop. Realizing many people. Bleeding. Thank you so much, Sylvie. So, the title I have chosen for this presentation is the following. Since grammar is always there, why don't we try to teach grammar different? Okay, and unlocking the potential of discovery approach. This is an AI-generated picture talking about the supremacy of grammar. What do you think about? I'd like someone to reflect on this picture, say something. Let's see over there. Do you see something? Let's see. Let's see. Come on. That's right. Do you see? So today I need your help to pull it down and push it to the periphery instead of wearing a crown and being at the top of other. Okay. Now I hope that you read this picture semiotically. All right. The objectives of my presentation are 3, not 2. The first one is to invite colleagues to reflect on issues and problems, paradoxes related to teaching one is to try to reconsider their pedagogical approaches and methods used in daily practices. And the third one, which is not mentioned there, my objective is not to teach one anything, to teach one nothing. I'm not going to teach you anything in this presentation. Don't expect the outline for this presentation of the following. I will be talking about an overview of some global issues related to teaching grammar. And then I'd like to shed some light on the current situation in our classes, EFL classes in Moroccan context. Then I will have an overview on some of the frameworks and methods, approaches used in teaching grammar. And then putting emphasis on the discovery approach as the only, I would say, sometimes, especially in our context, the only way we can use grammar fruitfully. Now, the debate on teaching grammar is not new one. It has, from the very beginning, from early, tracing back the history of ALT, starting from grammar translation method, the place of grammar is always under question, and of course it remains highly contested and controversial. Now, substantial research has been conducted, but still, in the integration of grammar, in parts of grammar or language learning, what we benefit from grammar explicitly, implicitly, so, the controversy or these debates are unresolved, and it's up to teachers to keep thinking about what we do, because there are a number of things that we have learned, and it's high time we unlearn them. Some of the major issues in grammar teaching are the following. There is always debate on which one is more rewarding. Explicit, the place of the grammar first in language learning. Should it be taught or not? That's the question to cover to be. Explicit or implicit methods of teaching grammar, which one is more beneficial for language learning? At the cognitive level, people are struggling to master rules, and then, so what? Traditional methods versus more innovative, I would say, methods and approaches in language teaching. Integrating communicative methods in grammar lessons is still questionable. Engagement and motivation that Hussein has talked about earlier is a major concern for all teachers, because without having motivated students, no approach, no method can work. And then the place of theory versus praxis in grammar instruction. If we have a look at some of the global paradoxes which are still being discussed today in grammar instruction. The first one is this: to teach or not to teach grammar at all. This is a question, and of course it's legitimate question, because according to a number of second language acquisition theories, there are groups of people who have learned, who have picked up or have acquired languages with no grammar rules at all, namely kids, children, immigrants, tourist guides, or what is referred to as forgived, who have never been in class to study grammar. However, they manage to speak not just English, languages, fluently. So this is concern, and of course, since people manage to acquire to pick up languages without grammar, that's why legitimately a number of people say that we don't need grammar at all in our class. However, research has shown that that's not always true. And explicit knowledge of rules helps a lot in the process of language learning. And here I'm talking about two sides: pro grammar instruction, who encourage people to teach grammar in their classes, and I would say anti-grammar of natural approach supporters who think that you don't need grammar. There is also another problem of meaning. Is it, rules and meaning, where is the meeting point? And of course, according to research, so grammar is not a set of rules. If you believe that you are presenting a set of rules and that's what grammar is about, then it's mistaken image, because it is, I would say, like here, Marx and Freeman, who argue that it's not collection of rules, but it's dynamic system of resources for making meaning. There is also, at the level of methodology, now this is what I have been observing for quite a number of years, that the traditional methods are still predominant in our classes, and of course it's quite justifiable, and I understand why. Now, we rely on traditional methods shaped by our past experiences, because even as teachers, we are still, shaped by, we are influenced by our past experience as a student of language, and that's why we find ourselves do or repeat things unconsciously. So teachers often teach the way they were taught, with no, reflection, and sometimes taking it for granted that that's the best. Since my teachers used to be this, so that's the only way, maybe, very. So teachers' instruction decisions about grammar are often rooted in deeply held beliefs shaped by their own schooling as a student. But this is, of course, sometimes very risky. To what extent our grammar lessons are communicative? So this is also paradoxical. First, grammar practice with direct communication. That's reality. And of course, the more we focus on getting grammar right during conversation, the less we actually focus on what is missing. Focus on form, not forms. There are two things: focus on form and focus on forms. I will be elaborating on this by dichotomy. Focus on form overtly draws student attention to linguistic elements as they arise incidentally, where the focus is on meaning. We have also sometimes believe that what they do is communicative. If we take, for example, the PPP model, then teachers believe that the last P related to production is highly communicative. And one of the questions that is being asked repeatedly is, once you finish practicing grammar structure, for example, you ask your student to give examples of their own, and you believe that this is communicative. Okay, now the simple past is V plus ED and except some irregular verbs. Now it's high time you come up with your examples. And it has nothing to do with real communication. Activities labeled communicative may in reality allow very little genuine communication. Like the question I it's not communicative, because in real life you don't find people in the street asking others to I'm not saying sentences to provide you with them. No, it's high time we reconsider what we believe to be communicative. Sheikh Hussein, again, is worried about raising engagement as the only way through which learning can take place. Learners prefer visible progress over long-term goals. Sometimes you find that your students are highly motivated to study grammar. But, and of course, sometimes they even feel successful and feel sense of achievement once they manage to, answer grammar questions. Student motivation is strongly influenced by their perception of success and progress. So, understanding and studying students' perception in every component, in every skill is very important. You've got to understand how your student perceive listening, for example, or speaking, or writing, or reading, or grammar, so that you can, as a teacher, work on these perceptions and shape their perceptions to be positive and, of course, really negative perceptions. Talking about grammar, we are, especially for teachers, especially for novice teachers, talking about some kind of psychological security. Grammar, in many classes, we tend to prefer grammar. And once you ask somebody to teach someone, the first thing, that's why I asked Nordi, the first thing you think about is to try to integrate as many grammar rules as possible, believing that, that's the only way through which people can, learn the language. So, psychologically speaking, it offers some kind of reassurance. Of course, here we are not talking about communicative gaze. Grammar rule acts as a security blanket that keeps the students comfortable, but prevent them from taking the risks necessary for growth. Explicit grammar teaching gives learners a sense of security, even when it does not immediately improve their communicative ability. And of course, once we talk about SWAN, we're talking about communicative competence. Theory and praxis paradox. This is something that we hear every day. Every day we hear this, what you are, sir, what you are talking about is theory, and praxis is something different. I should have had you give theory and praxis. Theory informs praxis, and even the researchers today are or have been, practitioners. You see David learning, or the research, or anyone, SWAT, unless these people are, have spent years and years teaching English as a foreign language in India, in Morocco, in Japan, in Saudi Arabia, in the Gulf. So this question of theory, it's not a legitimate question, and of course we've got to avoid asking this thing. We get insights from research. So language without theory is blind, because sometimes you find yourself doing things without understanding at least the rationale. So why theory without pedagogy? Simply again, I'm not saying that with theory you can become a good teacher, or you can at least understanding things better than implementing things without no prior comprehension and understanding. So avoiding theory, which is pedagogical decision making, we avoid theory to be practical, but without theory, our practice is just series of random guesses. You do things and you hope for the best. You cannot guarantee the outcome. So teachers who understand it. On the other hand, teachers who understand the theoretical underpinnings of their methods are better able to adapt instruction to learners' needs. Having talked about, I would say, global international issues that raised in all ELT contexts, let's narrow the scope a little bit and talk about the Moroccan reality today as we observe it. The legacy, the predominance of the model, especially novice teachers. Attention, I'm not blaming anybody. here, that's this one. Not blame. I'm not putting the blame on anyone. That's what we are observing in our class. If there is a blame to be put on the CMFs, centers, and supervisors, why not on teachers? Okay? Now, this predominance of PPP extends, it goes beyond language components like grammar and functions to reach even reading. And I was not only for reading lesson in the PPP model. It's a reading, it's a listening, it's a writing. Yes. What's your grammar? It's a PPP model in reading comprehension. Because it doesn't lend itself to the PPP model. So there is, that's reality. Another one is, again, some people are resorting to the PPP model not because they don't know about other frameworks and approaches, but again, because of other constraints, like, for example, large classes, overcrowded classes. It's reality. Ibrat University, exceeding 40. Now also national exam, which heavily tests for accuracy and drives teachers to work faster and productive methods. So, because the other frameworks and discovery approaches, it is a bit time consuming and it's really, not just time consuming, it's high demand in terms of efforts and energy. Okay? I don't know the model, so I can teach you simple possibilities مثلا in 2 minutes. See the simple possibilities B plus B except for some verbs. Say that see you next time inshallah. Okay? And then tomorrow for the future it's will plus B without to and going to. Next time I will show you the difference between will and going to. Don't come next time. Okay? Good. And inner knowledge problems should offer master grammatic formulas for exams, but struggle and fail, I would say, more than struggle. Fail to apply them in spontaneous communication. واحد عارف في باس يدير simple past. We can talk about your past experience with issue فيك. وصدر في باس يدي. Okay? And another problem is that our classrooms are still teacher-centered. And this is what happened to me at a point of time before we got engaged in an American program called Access Program. I don't know if you would know what Access Program is about. So, it's very difficult, psychologically speaking, to delegate the responsibilities to your student. If you don't teach grammar this way, you feel that you are not doing your job. So, heavy reliance on textbooks, and of course it can lead to rigid, linear approach to grammar instruction. That's what's happening today in the modern class. The majority, not all. Now let's move to talk about some of the approaches and frameworks to teaching grammar.
There are many.
The PPT. I'm sorry. Now the PPT model that I thought the traditional one. Sorry for the OHE, the ECRIF model, the ESA model, and the TBL, task-based learning model. Today, the purpose of this presentation and the scope. I'm not going to go into detail. Inshallah, we will have other meetings with Mate Association, and I'd like to thank Abraham over here, the president of the association branch, who is going to organize a meeting very soon, and we will have an opportunity to talk about this issue. So, very quickly, the economic model that we mapping the internal process of the learner, encounter, clarify, remember, internalize, and fluency. The ESA an engagement with study. And it starts with engage first, like game, picture, or anything to get the class warmed up. And then you start the grammar structure and you activate using the language freely in a task. Okay? Task-based learning, you devise your lesson plan according to the real task, starting with the pre-task and the wine task and the first task. The OHE approach or framework, which is most of the time we refer to as the discovery approach, which is more fruitful and easier. You start with making your student observe or notice the target structure by reading or noticing randomized specific patterns. Then you make your student hypothesize, and then you encourage your student to experiment with the target set. أنا اللي فيه بريو. Now, again, there is something that we need some research. I need small-scale research. I mean, to understand why the majority of teachers have very negative perception of this topic. If there is somebody who would like to say something, wait. That's the official guidelines 2007 2007. Yes, it's a little bit old, but it includes, within its cover, very interesting things. And the people who have worked on this have spent a lot of time and energy, coming up with at least شكون اللي عنده هنا؟ it's what? عندك؟ My fault. Yeah, I'm
holding.
Sorry. Good guy. I mean, maybe he doesn't need it. I mean, he used to be ELT supervisor. That's why this Bible exists in his pocket. Okay? Framework, which is suggesting and it is approach. The framework suggested in the guidelines here, I'm just quoting. I have written nothing. Everything is from the guidelines. This framework integrates form manipulation with understanding and functional usage. Form, usage, and use. It moves beyond the traditional grammar translation by embedding structurally authentic discourse context. This framework is based on 3 principles. The first one is form and meaning, discourse context, and consciousness raising. Form and meaning, learners manipulate language forms while understanding concepts and functionally expressing. So the purpose is not to master the V plus ET, but to understand when and how the V plus ED as a simple past form is used. Discourse context, structures are embedded in natural discourse which make grammar processable and comprehensive. Sometimes you find, again, one of the drawbacks of the PPP model. You, for example, you intend to present simple present. You go to the whiteboard or blackboard and you write, John lives in New York. Grammatically speaking, it's correct. And Jumla khata. Yeah, John lives in New York. Can you stop somebody in the street and say, John lives in London? Crazy person. So this decontextualized sentence says nothing. It's meaningless in terms of, semantically speaking. It's like Chomsky's famous structure. So, structures are embedded in natural discourse, a dialogue, authentic text. It can be dialogue, it can be listening, it can be reading, it can be anything. And of course, the other principle is consciousness raising, essential for processing structures while maintaining communicative content. Stages of the lesson according to discovery achievable guidelines and code are the following. Sometimes you find yourself, you can skip one of these things, but the most important ones are the two first ones and the two last ones. Very important. Noticing and conscious restoration. These are concepts in ELT, in teaching grammar and teaching function as well, where learners identify and extract grammar structures from authentic texts. To whenever you'd like to present a structure, grammar structure, try to provide it within, an authentic piece of language written by a native speaker, even not by an AI generated text. Followed by after having your student noticed the target structure, then you move to concept check, where your student tries to understand the meaning and function of the grammatical element. Then you start some guided practice and production through a number of controlled exercises to internalize the target structure. Another stage through which you make your students aware of what they are studying is making them able to compare the new structure with another structure that they have already studied. Let's say, if your lesson focus is past perfect, then you make them contrast with simple past, for example, or another tense which is a little bit similar. Then you come to more communicative stage, which is pre-production, and of course here we have accurate and appropriate use in oral and written communication. Then there must be some assessment or evaluation through which assess learner performance and provide feedback. These stages are in the guidelines, and the guidelines are on the net. Then it's accessible. Key instruction strategies. Two things very, very important here to follow. The first one is the noticing tasks that you start your lesson with. Here, either your students read or listen to text from within, filling gaps in the same text, underlying grammatical aspects, and extract roots from authentic discourse. That's why, this approach or framework is labeled as discovery. It is the student who discover the rule, not provide them the rule user. Consciousness raising, you discover how structure, your student will be able to discover how structures work. They will be able to analyze data from reading and listening, and this depends on learner level and teacher expertise. Essential, earlier stages are essential for subsequent. Practice and production sequence. After the noticing and the consciousness raising, comes the practice and production sequence. Check-in task, production task, and pre-production. Now the pre-production is an extended discourse with accurate, meaningful, and appropriate use. So the simple past now is only used for students to talk about past experiences, past vacations or holidays, and the like. Contrast, so the target rule and the previously learned, one is known and one is unknown, to help students understand what they are studying. Feedback and evaluation. Here, talking about assessment again, different types of assessment. Either the feedback that you provide, either assessment checklist, or you do it in self-assessment or learner self-assessment. Strength of the framework and the following. This framework and approach is stronger than the PPP model in different things. The first one is, it seems to be a little bit balanced approach, where you integrate form-focused instruction with meaningful communication. Another strength is, or has to do with learner autonomy and independence. This is what we really miss in Moroccan classes, because you can't teach anyone. I still see it open. You can teach, that's maybe what Einstein said. You can teach anyone anything. All that you can do, not all what. All that you can do is to create an environment, conducive environment to learning, an environment where people can learn. So teaching means nothing. It also provides some contextual learning, grammar embedded in authentic discourse. These stages seem to be progressive, and of course comprehensive assessment is very important, and the environment is so supportive because of the type and the kind of scaffolding that teachers provide. Theoretical foundation of this framework are the following. It can be related to the importance of explicit instruction with formal study of rules, which is essential for English accuracy. And of course, another theory which supports this is the natural approach like Russian, which sees that language can be acquired subconsciously through meaningful input, because the input that you provide in the beginning of the lesson is very meaningful one. So, from the PPP to the discovery approach, there is a paradigm shift related to moving from focus on forms to focus on form. I think maybe it's the way around. Focus on form to focus on forms. Where am I? One, teaching grammar a series of isolated rules and structures. That's what is referred to as the syllabus or syllabi of bits. Total. It's not language, it's something different. Primary focus is on grammatical form itself, and we don't care about meaning, we don't care about use. And the outcome results in enough knowledge that cannot be used in research. At the end of the year, students might have accumulated a number of rules that they cannot use. And in this simple past it's V plus ET, and this simple present it's V plus S in E and G, and the will and go into, and it's like the seller of spices, and the Atreya and this major and what tagine is made up of other ingredients. Couscous is made up of other elements. Now, drawing attention to linguistic elements as they arise incidentally in communicative activities. That's what Long has referred to in his research 1991. Primary focus is on meaning, negotiation of meaning. We don't care about the big. Even students, there are a number of students who talking about their past experience, say, okay, yesterday we go to airport and we meet a number of American tourists, and the message is conveyed. I understand what at least they have some language problem. So, benefit that learners see the functional need for a grammar point before it is taught. So before you teach any grammar point, make sure that your students understand the benefit of going into that journey. علاج يصير معنا نقرأ simple present or talk about habits and routines, simple past talking about future plans, positive voice, in scientific discourse, and so on. Again, I will include by the following: integration, discovery, autonomy are three elements that the discovery approach has, okay, has tried to encourage in your class. Now, hoping that, comparing the first picture with the last picture. So, the purpose of teaching a language is what? What is the objective of bringing your students in class? Is to develop communicative competence following times 1972 or 1975. And all the other, skills and language areas are there. And grammar is there. The rules are there. In the picture, it's not excluded. Those who are communicating and speaking and reading and writing, they need some rules. Working now, in this picture, grammar is just one component, one thing that we should, pay attention in language classes without giving it, dominance, without giving it higher status. And these are the references, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Our next speaker is Director Babli Abdurrahman. His presentation is entitled Teaching Writing from Theory to Practice.
Ikram. Good morning, everyone. Okay, I'm very pleased to be here today in front of my friends, teachers, and I would like you first to stand up because there is a person whom I respect a lot. Teacher Professor Hussein Boukri, the person. Thank you. Okay, why I am saying this? Because he's the first one to teach me English. Okay, he's my teacher, and I still owe him a lot of respect because thanks to him, I got highly motivated to opt for English in at university, and that's why whenever I have given this opportunity to give a presentation or to run a workshop, I always start by thanking him for what he did for me. Okay, and I truly deem it necessary to thank him whenever I have this opportunity. Allow me first to thank my students. I'm very happy to see my students here. Okay. I am very proud of you. I really encourage you to continue working hard, and maybe one day, inshallah, I'll come from a stage presenting or running workshops, etc. So, also I would like to thank Mr. Nordin for having given me this opportunity to take part in this fruitful event, which is a platform where we can share some experience. I worked as a high school teacher, then as an ELT supervisor, and now as a university professor. And of course, these years have helped me develop a lot, and I'm still working on myself because learning never ends. And believe me, the more you encounter people, you take part in events, the more likely will develop, not only linguistically speaking, but also in terms of your communication skills. So my presentation today is about writing. Whenever, let me just share something with you. Whenever I think of writing, this gives me a headache. Because I know that c'est la bête noire, comme on dit en français. But not only for students, even for teachers. I have been teaching this skill for more than 5 or 6 years at university. And of course, this is a problem related to this language skill, because some teachers still perceive writing as a productive skill, while the other skills are passive. But let me just correct something. All skills are productive because all skills need a lot of training, a lot of exposure, a lot of practice to be fully developed. So the title of my presentation is Teaching Writing from Theory to Practice. And my objective is to share with my esteemed audience the little experience I have got in teaching writing. So this is the outline of my presentation. First, I will try to define writing. What is writing first? Then, what makes it different from the other language skills, namely speaking, listening, and reading? What makes writing, or the components of writing? And another very important, legitimate question, which is, why teaching writing at all? Then, writing sub-skills, writing types, writing genres. I will end up my presentation with some pedagogical implications, which hopefully will benefit not only teachers, but also our university and even high or middle school students. Now, if I ask you to define writing, give me just words or key concepts. You might think of whenever you are asked to define this language skill. What comes to your mind whenever asked to define writing? Yeah. Yes? Ideas. Thank you. Yes? See this? Okay, putting words together to convey meaning. Yes? Process. Thank you. Method. Punctuation. Yes? Ikram. Okay, so the act of producing knowledge and creativity. Professor Hussein? Process versus product. Yes? Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes? Okay, thank you very much. Yes? Cohesion and coherence. Okay, thank you very much. This means that writing is an amalgam of techniques, strategies, ideas, which means it combines a lot of elements. And that's why it is a very it's a tough experience, because this doesn't come overnight, which means you cannot sleep and then wake up the next morning and find yourself able to come up with a neat, clear, and purposeful piece of writing. And I always give this example to my students. I can't remember the name of the author. He spent more than 15 years to come up with a 250-page novel. You see that the journey is very long, and the experience requires a lot of training, a lot of exposure, a lot of practice, and a lot of effort. Okay, let me define writing. So look, writing is a process of what? Of discovery and exploration of ideas, together with construction of a framework to present these ideas in the best way. Normally speaking, whenever you think of writing as a language skill, you think of one's ability as a human being to come up with well-organized, well-structured piece of writing that communicates a specific message or a lot of messages to a given audience. Because it's one way to communicate with your audience is by means of writing. And what makes this language skill difficult is absence of immediate feedback. Because while speaking, you can get immediate feedback. You can tune your language to make it fit the context and your audience's abilities. But when it comes to writing, of course, feedback, if given, is always delayed. So, in other words, it is a thinking process and a discovery procedure to achieve one's purpose for an intended audience. I still remember a gentleman whose name is Ahmed Al-Ziani. He taught me at the Faculty of Education in Rabat during my desert journey, and he always insisted on 3 elements that should be taken into account when thinking of writing. So the first one is the writer, who am I? The second one is the audience, to whom am I writing? And the last one is my message or my purpose. Why am I writing? Am I writing to entertain people, to inform people, to guide people, to provide my audience with pieces of information, or just for fun? Because people write diaries, for example, or fiction in general is meant for, for fun. Of course, fiction teaches us a lot of things. وراه كنهضروا على كليله ودمنه ديال المقفع كتلقى animals instead of humans. كاين even animal farm ديال جيمس جويس غتلقى فيها animals instead of humans. But of course, these 2 pieces or masterpieces teach us a lot of values, a lot of morals, a lot of principles, which means we can benefit from literature not only to develop our linguistic competency, but also to develop ourselves as a human being. Another definition by a gentleman named Murray is an act of recording or communicating and much more. It is a significant kind of thinking. And of course, there are a number of things these 2 definitions share. So we have thinking process, which means writing requires some sort of mental thinking, which means your mind should think, because you cannot write without thinking. You invest a lot of your time and effort to come up with a piece of writing that is worth reading. So, it is a significant kind of thinking in which the symbols of language assume a purpose of their own and instruct the writer during the composing process. Now, what makes writing different from the other language skills? I want my presentation to be interactive, because I don't want to monopolize the talk. I would like you to contribute with your ideas. And I'm sure you have got very brilliant ideas. What makes writing different from the other language skills? Yes? Good. Visible. So what does visible mean? Can you please explain to me this adjective? Which means you can see them. Okay, thank you. Yes? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, it's true. Yes, سيعطي حق. Sure. Okay, thank you. Yes, Ikram? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sure, thank you very much. Okay. Sidris, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, okay, thank you very much. Yes, Sir Hussein? Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, just allow me to go back a little bit. I forgot to talk about something important when it comes to problems teachers and students are facing when it comes to writing. There are two main factors. So the first one has to do with the rigidity of the genres. Sometimes I cannot understand why asking middle school, high school students to write an article or a book review or a film review. بحال قال قبيله السي واحد يقول بدا واش غادي شي واحد الزنقه يقول لك عطيني واحد البوك ريفيو هكا كتبوا لي ولا كتب لي شنو كنكتبوا دابا؟ ايميلز كنكتبوا short messages or WhatsApp for example. Donc it's high time we rethought the way writing is taught in our Moroccan schools. The second problem is related to the way writing is handled in our Moroccan schools. Now, you cannot teach your students to come up with a good piece of writing in just one hour. ساعة وخصو يكتب لك ما نعرف ارتيكل ولا اساي انت الاستاذ بالنسبه عطيناك ساعه ما غتكتبهاش. It's true because we are not native speakers. We are foreign language learners. يعني English is a foreign language in Morocco. ماشي بحال in India, in Pakistan, in South Africa كتلقى second language لا كتبقى تلقاها official language. هي of course English is the lingua franca يعني كتلقى everywhere في المنهج كتلقى لونغ ولكن there is a problem. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. European framework of reference, yes. Yeah, sure. أنا دابا الكيستيون ماشي علاش كاع نقول نكتب أنا article. Are we training journalists? That's our problem. Yes, sure.
more than I've been teaching for about 37 years. Sometimes students used to get even before you were much. They give me an essay, 2-page essay. Sometimes it's very long sentences and they want response to it. When I have to go out to it, we go just like this. Come on. It goes with the idea. When the idea stops, start another idea. This one. The second thing is that the most famous writer, great reader, to be a successful writer,
sure.
you must be a great reader. And to be a great reader, you are not necessarily a successful writer. You might have read, or you might have read what communist writers, essay writers, not least. Some people publish an article, and they write the draft 7 times, and they ask,
Proofread.
and then they ask an imminent figure that every standard to be part. So this is just to raise wages that writing not that easy. It needs so much practice, preparation.
Commitment.
Yeah, although it is difficult, it is possible to do very well. Many native speakers in English are very successful.
Bram Khalid, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thank you very much. That's why a lot of researchers and scholars define writing as rewriting, which means it's not a linear process. You start from brainstorming and then you end up coming with the final draft. But you can go back to brainstorming while you are in the stage of writing the final draft, which means it's a cyclical process. هنا لا صافي الوساخ كنقطعوه عاود ندير وساخ اخر لا مش هكا دونك it's انت you monitor everything. Okay, talking about the nature of writing, according to White 1980, the writing skill cannot develop naturally. As speaking, you can develop it can develop now. Okay, by just observing the surroundings. Your siblings, for example, your parents, your uncles, aunts, etc. Because you try to pick up words from here and from there, anytime. But writing requires standard form of grammar, syntax, and vocabulary. Writing is therefore the most demanding of the 4 language skills. That's why it should be looked at as a skill in its own right. And the other language skills are there to serve it. That's why someone has mentioned this idea of having enough background knowledge from reading, listening to especially native speakers. I always insist on listening to authentic English. English used by native speakers. وحيكون فيها وحيكون فيها كما كنقولوا problems. ما عنديش أنا مشكل. I try to make myself familiar with how English speakers use English to communicate their thoughts, ideas, feelings, etc. So, yes, sure.
I'd like to quote everyone here, just one to speak like
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah. Ah. Yes, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Okay, so normally speaking, we're talking about writing, we talk about these skills. So we have our sub-skills. Grammatical sub-skills, which means the ability to write correct sentences. And here correctness has to do with accuracy, which means your ability to come up with correct sentences at the level of grammar. Then we have stylistic sub-skills, the ability to manipulate sentences and use language effectively. And by the way, when I was at university in Meknes, we used to have a module called stylistics. كان عندنا موديول سميتو stylistics كنقراو في الفورثيير في الكاتخيامان في لافاك كان عندنا موديول سميتو stylistics. دابا البروبليم هذا لو سيستيم موديولير انا شنو كنعطيو دابا غير تيبس 12 حصه فيها ما عرفتش شحال من ساعه 24 ولا من با 20 ساعه المهم غير ندير بحال شاد واحد الطاجين كيما قال لك السكسو كترش عليه شويه الملحه شويه البزار بيديك وصافي يعني which means that most of the job should be done by your students. You should invest a lot in reading books, articles, and you should invest in practicing the language. انتوما خصكم ديروا لا براتيك راه الاستاذ ما غيعطيكش اش غيعطيك تيبس واش دابا راه كنقولها دابا I was انا راه مازال كنصحح الادفانسد كومبوزيشن صافي طلع لي داكشي في راسي والله ما نكذبش عليكم لان بارفوا ها هو هضر السي حسين كيلقى بانشي واش الماتش كاين كنلقى اسي ديال 5 باراغرافز اللي فيه كاع نقطه لا فاصيل بحال اللي غادي في شي بلاصه صايب الطوموبيل ما كاين لا ضو احمر لا ستوب لا فيراج اللي تشدك ولا من from A to Z. It's a big problem. Okay, then we have what we call mechanical skills, so the ability to use correctly those conventions peculiar to the written language. And here I'm talking about punctuation and spelling. And finally, we have what we call judgment sub-skills, the ability to write in an appropriate manner for a particular purpose, with a particular audience in mind, together with an ability to select, organize, and order relevant information. Believe me, you as a writer should have these abilities. You can assess yourself. Just ask, is my piece of writing appropriate? Am I writing for a specific audience in mind? Do I have a specific objective for writing? Am I able to select and organize and order relevant pieces of information or not? If not, you need to practice more. Now, these are the components of writing, or the elements of writing. The gentleman who came up with this figure is Rains. So first we have content. Then we have the writer's process, which means getting ideas and getting started. Then we have audience. To whom am I writing? A very limited group of people, or what we call the elite, or am I writing for the mass? Because this shapes the way I am going to write. Each requires from me to choose specific expressions, specific concepts. Then we have purpose, is the reason for writing. Word choice has to do with vocabulary and tone. Organization, which means the number of paragraphs to have, topic, support, etc. Mechanics, which includes handwriting, punctuation, and capitalization. Grammar, rules of verbs, agreement, articles, pronouns, and so on and so forth. And finally, syntax, which means sentence structure and sentence boundary. فين كتبدا واحد الجمله وفين كتسالها. حنا دابا ما كنشوفوش the length of the sentence. كنشوفوا المينينغ. Whenever the meaning is complete, it means that the sentence is راه صافي تسالت. Finishes. يعني ماشي حنا دابا our problem is that we put punctuation marks haphazard هنا هكا هي وفين جات. I still remember this happened to me when I was at university during my first year. I wrote a paragraph and gave it to a student who was at that time in his third year. And when I got my paragraph from here, عرفتي شنو قال لي؟ وقال لي هاد البحيره سخرات لك بهاد ادوات الربط because as for غير كنمشيو نحطهم. Believing that using linking words will help us come up with good pieces of writing. Believe me, you can write an essay without even using one linking. Very short sentences. SVM, subject, verb, object, full stop. And then you go this way. Now, why teaching writing? ليش قاعد؟ هات حرق الراس. Yes. Why teaching writing? يلا teachers. Why are you teaching writing? سي عبد الحق. Why are you teaching writing? It's part. خلينا نروح teaching تاني غنجي معك نجيك من عندك من بعد. It's part of the exam. Yes. ولكن كونكور and first year ما عندهمش exam. مزيان. Yes. Yalla, the other teachers. Yes, Idris? Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes, sure. Yalla, yes. Okay, but yalla, say thank you very much. But don't you think that we can use speaking to spot problems, not only writing? This means that writing is not the only criterion whereby we can say that this person speaks or is good at English or is bad at English. So this is just a myth. Okay, and I'm sorry to say this, because we all base our judgments on our students' ability to write. If a student is able to come up with a good paragraph, this means that his or her proficiency in English is good. But if he or she fails, this means that he or she is bad at English. But there are many other parameters whereby we can judge people's proficiency level in any language, be it English or French or even Arabic. We are native speakers of Moroccan Arabic. We can be native speaker ديال Arabic language. ولكن واش كنعرفوا نكتبوا بالعربية احنا بعدا ميت؟ هذا بروبليم. That is one of احنا. Are we able to write in Arabic? Yeah.
C'est un moment to go said a good writer should good readers for. Do we?
هذا هو المشكلة.
People who can read, people who read daily, can write.
Yes, the equation is clear enough. باينة. Okay, ما كنقراش ما نتعلمش كيفاش نكتب. صافي راها باينة. Okay, why teaching writing? I selected 3 main reasons for which people should be trained on writing. So the first one, help learners develop writing soft skills. I will talk about these soft skills later on. هاي نهضر عليهم. أي احنا بغينا نعلمهم غير هذا دابا ما كنهضر على our Moroccan educational system. Second, هي اللي جربتو prepare learners for their examinations and academic study. And the last one, to prepare learners for real-life written communication via emails. We have web forums, internet messenger services, and text messaging. The problem is that we focus on the 2 first ones, and of course we ignore the last one. Now, we don't like our students to use like symbols when writing. And we know this is not part of academic writing. Then academic writing has its own conventions, and everyone should stick to those conventions. Otherwise, you will be called someone who is violating, for example, the conventions of academic writing. Donc, ولا كنركزوا على هذه خلاص ما كنركزوش عليها. دابا عاد in recent years they have started to think of كيف يفكروا to include, especially in the baccalaureate national exams, يفكروا في podcasts مثلا, emails, something like that. وهذه دابا هو الكيم. Okay? Social media is being used by all people, and we have to admit this. And it even shapes the way we communicate, even social relationships among people. Now, what are writing soft skills? Can you guess? Give me examples of writing soft skills. Yes? هذوك skills, كنهضروا على soft skills. Soft skills are part of the skill. كنهضروا على reading soft skills, listening, speaking, etc. What is it? Yes. Sure, yes. Uh-huh. How to put them together. Yes. Good order, yes. Sure. Yalla Iba. Planning. Okay, thank you very much. Someone is telling me to hurry up a little bit because I might run out of time. Yes, please, the last one. Are you talking about reading or writing? This is for reading. Yes, and now I'm talking about writing. I'm sorry, I have to speed up a little bit. So, this is the definition. So, writing some skills are specific writing behaviors necessary for mastery of the skill of writing. Examples, we have use of appropriate grammar, and then use of appropriate word order, and of course the list is not exhaustive. So let's move on. What is the writing type? The writing type, the function to which a piece of writing is put. Examples we have describing, narrating, etc. What is the writing genre? Specific structure and layout of the piece of writing. We have article, we have emails, we have paragraphs, and so on and so on. Now, pedagogical implications. So this is the last part. So first we have to raise learners' awareness about stress writing processes, readers' expectations, and linguistic and textual conventions. Second, we have to support learners by providing them with models, clear and specific learning goals, meaningful contexts to practice writing, carefully structured activities, clear presentation of materials, and constructive feedback. I insist on providing learners with constructive feedback. Yes. Yes. Number 3, promote learner autonomy and being outside the classroom. Cover the range of duties that learners will perform in their daily lives. This may include filling forms, making lists, visiting, writing friendly and or business letters, note-taking, and academic writing. راه شحال واحد كيجي قرعه ملي كان هذيك الجرين كارد ما كيعرفش حتى يعمر هذيك الابليكيشن فورم. هذا big problem. Okay. Assume that the product and process are not in opposition but rather complementary. Adopt workshop styles to writing, starting with understanding students' reasons for writing and encouraging their voice and choice in the brainstorming stage via reading, note-taking, searching for information, free associating and questioning to generate ideas. Make feedback helpful and meaningful. Bear in mind that their writing is an individual endeavor and students should be granted ample opportunities to refine their writing skills. The various steps of process writing call for cooperative learning. لذلك 40 كلمة راس difficile باش تصححهم كاملين يتسمعوا. The last slide. It's very difficult to correct all the sheets. It's preferable, for example, to opt for group work tasks instead of giving each student the opportunity to write his or her paragraph. You can ask a group of students to work together to come up with one paragraph. The problem is that you have to make sure students are on task and everyone contributes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Better write 2 good pieces of writing where you give students ample opportunity to refine their writing skills. Giving ample opportunity to refine their writing skills means correct the final draft of the student, give him feedback, ask him to correct if you have a look at the feedback, rewrite the draft again, hand it to you back, a second correction, more feedback until the piece of writing is final. If you do it 2 times a year, I guarantee that students will become good at writing. But if you do 10 pieces of writing here during the year without giving feedback to your students, you are not, it's like pouring water in the sun.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take 30 minutes coffee break. Please enjoy this moment to relax, network, and share ideas. Kindly know that the break will end in 30 minutes exactly, and we kindly ask everyone to return on time so that we can respect our program. We will resume at the scheduled time. Enjoy your break.